in typical fashion, week 2 will probably not live up to week 1. On paper, it definitely doesn't look that good. In week 1, we had 3 top 10 matchups. This week, we only have 1 top 25 matchup, and that, of course, is Michigan at Oklahoma. That prediction coming your way tomorrow, so do not miss out on that. But still, per usual, here at the channel, we're going to break down the 5 underrated games. 5 games that might be flying under the radar heading into week 2. Going to give you some analysis on these games, give you a prediction on these games, and then on top of Michigan, Oklahoma, we have 2 more games, kind of games of the week, that we're going to be discussing for you later on this week. So stay tuned for those. 2 more games that do not appear on this big board. But let's go ahead and get into it. We got some games that really are going to be interesting, really intriguing, could result in a handful of upsets, starting with number 11 Illinois at Duke. Now that is a game that very well could be an upset. That's the one that has upset written all over it, and I'm not bold enough to pick it. I'm not picking Duke. I'm going to stick with the Fighting Illini here. But, Illinois is only about a 3-point favorite entering this game. That kind of tells you everything you need to know. A nearly top 10 team, only favored by a field goal on the road against a Duke team that has a lot of talent, right? But do we really know what this team is capable of? They beat Elon 45-17 last week, but only led by a touchdown early in the fourth quarter for erupting for 21 points in that quarter. But that's the thing. We don't know exactly what to expect from Duke. Darian Mensah looked great, 27 for 34, 389 yards and 3 touchdowns, so a solid debut with the Blue Devils after transferring in from Tulane. But now he's going up against Brett Bielema's defense, a Big Ten caliber defense that helped them win 10 games last year. And as we know, Illinois is one of the most experienced teams in the entire country, just in terms of returning production. The Fighting Illini beat Western Illinois 52-3 last week. Very balanced attack. They had 209 rushing yards. Luke Altmaier had a fantastic day. He's a really good game manager. He's improved every single year, but he takes really good care of the football, doesn't make too many mistakes, continuously puts Illinois in a position to score and win these games. I think he's going to deliver now. I think you've got the veteran quarterback edge in Luke Altmaier. I would take him right now over Darian Mensah. I would take Illinois' defense right now over Duke. I kind of look at this game and I feel like Illinois, even if it's only slightly, owns the edge in every aspect of this game with the exception of home field advantage, and I believe the Fighting Illini can overcome that at Duke. They've won in tougher places. I think they can win this game now. Illinois remains undefeated, only 2-0, but maintains that top 12 rating, which is going to be massive for them as we get throughout this season, because the Fighting Illini are a college football playoff contender. They get a big road win at Duke. Baylor at number 17, SMU, a huge in-state game, and really, to me, a bigger game for Baylor than it is for SMU. Both of them, very important game for both, no doubt, but if Baylor loses this game, they're 0-2 and their season's over, right? This was a year where many of us thought Baylor could break through, maybe win the Big 12, maybe flirt with a college football playoff bid. And look, if they lose this game, sure, they could run the table in the Big 12 and still make the playoff, but the odds of that happening are very slim. You got to find a way to avoid an 0-2 start. Last week against Auburn, Baylor lost 38-24 at home. They got dominated in the trenches, allowed 307 rushing yards to the Tigers. The lone bright spot, I would say, for Baylor was their passing attack. They had 419 passing yards from Sawyer Robertson. That's going to give them a chance in just about every single game they play. SMU, meanwhile, they had a big win over Eastern Texas A&M, so nothing's shocking there. They took care of business. A playoff team last year got the job done. The key here, though, and the thing that I thought was interesting is while SMU did win that game in dominating fashion, as they should, there were some concerns. They turned the ball over 3 times. They gave up 244 passing yards in that game to East Texas A&M. Now you're going up against a more competent quarterback in Sawyer Robertson with his top 2 pass catchers returning, a solid running game to go along with that. Their backs against the wall. I'm going to go with Baylor on the road to take down the Mustangs. Back in the preseason, when I analyzed Baylor's schedule and record, I said that Baylor would split their season opening games against Auburn and SMU. I actually thought they'd beat Auburn and lose to SMU, but I felt confident they'd at least split them. I think this Baylor team is too good to start 0-2. And I go back and look at that Auburn game. Baylor did not play great. Defensively, they were horrendous. But there were a few questionable calls that went against the Bears in that game. They gave up a big kickoff return for a touchdown, and they struggled in the red zone. They were held to a field goal at the Auburn 19. They turned the ball over on downs at the Auburn 3 and the Auburn 11. Multiple opportunities for Baylor to have scored and probably could have won that game. I think the game was closer than that final score really indicated. Baylor's passing attack, the difference maker here. They get the win on the road to SMU, and the Bears season stays alive. Oklahoma State at number 6, Oregon. Look, this is going to be a blowout, okay? I put this on up here because I think the matchup's intriguing. Anytime you see that Power 4 matchup, non-conference matchup, I think it's worth noting, especially between two historically good programs. Although Oklahoma State in a bit of a weird spot, horrendous 2024 campaign, and things aren't going to be getting any better in 2025, especially after losing their quarterback House Hedgney. So that's a huge, huge blow for the Cowboys, who again had, I think, faith and potential in their young quarterback and really faith and potential in this young team. A lot of inexperience, a lot of new pieces for Mike Gundy's squad. Now you lose your quarterback that was going to be your starter. You turn to Zane Flores, who I think is going to give this team a shot to win, not against Oregon, but some games down the road. I actually thought Flores might win the starting job back in the preseason. But this Oklahoma State team only mustered 359 yards of offense against UT Martin, a game they only won by 20. Oregon, meanwhile, despite losing so much from last year's squad that went undefeated up until the college football playoff, beat Montana State, who was the FCS runner-up last year, 59-13, posted over 500 yards of offense, and it was perfectly balanced. How about that? 253 rushing yards for Oregon, 253 passing yards for the Ducks as well. Literally perfectly balanced against Montana State. Dante Moore looked phenomenal, 18 for 23, 213 yards and 3 touchdowns. 10 different guys had a reception in that game for the Ducks. The defense had 3 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss. They held Montana State to just 46 rushing yards. If they bottle up this Oklahoma State run game, which isn't expected to be that good anyways, you're going to force Zane Flores to come in here and win this game in Eugene by himself. It's just not going to happen. The Ducks roll to a big-time win over the Cowboys, remain undefeated, continue to prove why they are a top 10 team. Then we've got the border war, Kansas at Missouri. That, to me, is maybe the most underrated game that people aren't talking enough about. This is a rivalry renewed, guys. Kansas and Missouri, a lot of bad blood here. They have not met on the gridiron since 2011. 2011, the last time these two teams met. So Columbia, Missouri, it's going to be rocking on Saturday afternoon. I know my guy Eddie is probably very disappointed this was not a night game for the Tigers. But look at these two games. Kansas has looked really good. They looked great in week 1 against Fresno State, looked great last week against Wagner. Again, not a great sample size. 2 teams Kansas was expected to beat, and they did. But what's impressed me the most, even though they've been weaker opponents, is how great Jalen Daniels has looked. He did not have a great 2024 campaign, but he has come out firing on all cylinders. And what's even more impressive, he's doing that with a pretty much completely new wide receiver core. 36 for 45, so in 2 games, just 9 incompletions for Daniels, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, 456 passing yards. Emmanuel Henderson's been great. Cam Pickett's been great. Both of them already have over 100 reception yards on the year. Daniel Highshaw's been great. This offense has the ability to hang with Missouri in this game. You look at the Tigers, unfortunately for them, kind of like Oklahoma State, they lost their quarterback early. Literally on the first play of the game for them, first offensive play of the game for them, they lose Sam Horn. They turn to Bo Prabula, who's transferring in from Penn State. It was going to be a kind of a quarterback battle anyways, and obviously Horn's going to be hurt for a while. Prabula shined, though. Granted, it was against UCA, I get it, but 23 for 28, 2 touchdowns, 65 rushing yards, 2 more touchdowns. I mean, it was a very impressive performance from Prabula, granted, even though it was against an FCS program. I think he's going to do just fine there. That dual threat mobility, that capability that he has to extend plays with his legs is going to be a difference maker, not just against Kansas, but against a lot of teams that Missouri faces this year. This is also the best defense that Kansas has faced all year long. And the Jayhawks, we showed what they were capable of at the end of last year. Not that that has any effect now, but obviously a team that was much better than that 5-7 record showed, the ability to win 3 straight games against top 25 opponents. They're not scared to play anybody. They're not scared of any environment. I think this game is actually going to be very, very close. But I lean towards Missouri. The dual threat quarterback is huge. A really experienced, stingy defense is huge. Home field advantage is huge. Give me Missouri to win this game, but I think it's only going to be by 1 possession. And then finally, Vanderbilt at Virginia Tech. I really, really like this matchup as well. 2 teams that really need this win if they want to find themselves in a bowl game, right? Because Virginia Tech just lost their opener to South Carolina. Vanderbilt did win their game over Charleston Southern, but we know life in the SEC can be very difficult for them, and Virginia Tech, life doesn't get much easier for them out of the non-conference either once they get to ACC play. I look at this for Vanderbilt. Again, last week against Charleston Southern, it was great. Diego Pavia shined, 20 for 25, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, we know he's a star, right? He's one of, I think, America's favorite players. It's hard not to like this guy. Great through the air, great on the ground. They beat Virginia Tech last year, as we know, in Nashville. Virginia Tech was expected to be that ACC dark horse. They stroll into Nashville. Vanderbilt. They're not going to win. And they did. Got the win in overtime, which was massive for them. I think now Virginia Tech, they get their revenge. You're talking about a night game in Blacksburg, a night game in Lane Stadium, the home opener for the Hokies, who desperately need this win. Kind of similar to Baylor here. Their backs are against the wall. I think Brent Pry's squad kind of pulls out all the stops. And now look at Virginia Tech. Last week against South Carolina, don't let the score fool you. They lost 24-11 to the Gamecocks, but they were in that game in the fourth quarter. It was 10-8. They held this electric South Carolina offense led by the Lenora Sellers to just 10 points through 3 quarters. And then it fell apart because the Hokies gave up an 80-yard punt return for a touchdown and a big, 69-yard passing touchdown? 64-yard passing touchdown with 7:42 remaining. 10-8 in the fourth quarter, allowed 2 massive plays. They ended up losing by 13 points. They held their own. The defense did a pretty good job. Virginia Tech actually outgained South Carolina, only by 2 yards, but still outgained them 336 to 334 and held them to 125 rushing yards. If they can contain Diego Pavia in this spot, if they contain him, force him to deliver through the air, can he deliver? Absolutely. We've seen it time and time again. Will he? I'm going to say no. I think Virginia Tech, they pull out all the stops. They defend their home field. They're a little bit more experienced than they were last year. I think Kyron Drones has improved quite a bit from last year after battling injuries and just a really down year. Kind of similar to Jalen Daniels. Had a down year. He's bouncing back in a big way. I think he does a better job taking care of the football. He had 2 picks against South Carolina. I think he does a better job against that now. To me, a true coin flip game, Lane Stadium at night, ultimately the difference maker. Give me the Hokies to win a thriller against the Commodores in the game that not many people are going to be talking about. So guys, there you have it. 5 underrated games heading into week 2 of college football. This is where stuff's getting real, right? We're going to see, as we always say, the biggest jump. If you thought your team looked really bad in week 1 or was really disappointing in week 1, don't worry. We always see the biggest jumps typically from week 1 to week 2. You knock off that rust, you finally hit someone new, now you're going to start improving. But it doesn't always mean it's going to equate to wins. It doesn't always give you an opportunity to face some cupcake teams. All these games here are going to be very difficult for the teams that we did project to win. Really could go either way, except for that Oregon-Oklahoma State game. I think that's kind of the one that's about a lock. The Ducks are going to win that. But again, anything can happen. This is going to be a very, very fun week. Despite not having a lot of top 25 matches, despite not looking that great on paper, there's going to be some absolute madness if week 1 told us anything, if college football has ever told us anything. And of course, we're going to be there with you every step of the way. With these 5 games, 3 more coming your way the rest of this week, and on and on and on throughout the rest of the season. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to these expert picks over here. If you want the spread picks for some of these games up here, some of the games we're going to talk about later in the week, and countless others, do not miss out on those. Go sign up for them over on thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. Go take advantage of it. Become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.